Bella got up, had breakfast, and drove the SUV to North Dakota. The sky was overcast and it looked like a storm was brewing. Coming out of the city, Bella drove straight down the highway and entered a small town. The nearer she was to North Dakota, the bumpier the road was. The rain started to pelt down. The road condition was getting worse, and Bella was going crazy. No wonder there weren't any buses here. Who would want to drive on this kind of road? All of a sudden, there was a crash, and the car engine stalled. Bella bumped into the steering wheel, and her chest hurt so much that she couldn't speak. Did the car just break down? Bella unbuckled the seatbelt, took out an umbrella from her bag, and got out of the car to check. There were no repair tools in the trunk. The car broke down in a secluded place. It was raining heavily, and she was a little scared. Bella wanted to call the car repair company, but there was no signal here. Why was she so unlucky? Not a car passed by as she sat inside and waited for nearly an hour. Maybe she should find somewhere to hide. Otherwise, wouldn't she be in danger if some shady people saw her? At this moment, Bella saw two SUVs coming over. She was surprised and alert. She got out of the car and hid by the side, waiting for the two cars to approach. When she saw the anti-riot sign, she waved at them. The two cars stopped, and the car window was lowered down. Bella was stunned when she saw the man sitting in the front passenger seat. "What are you doing here?" Quincy asked in a low and cold voice. Bella looked at the man sitting in the front passenger seat. He was wearing a black jacket and was holding a cigarette between his fingers. It had been 2 months since she had last seen him, and now his handsome face was slightly thinner, while his jaw was covered in a faint stubble. He stared at her with no expression on his face, his eyes deep and cold. On the night of the social gathering event, she had fired several shots at his feet. At that moment, he was furious. She could tell how bad it was for his pride. Although up to now, Bella didn't regret her actions that night. She still felt awkward when she suddenly met him in such a place. She wanted to tell him she was fine and that he should leave. But she also knew that this wasn't the time to speak about having a backbone. A trace of a smile appeared on Bella's cold and charming face. Maybe it's fate. Quincy glanced at her coldly, then retracted his gaze and asked the driver to go. Seeing this, Bella quickly reached for the car door and her smile disappeared. Don't go. My car broke down. Can you help me?" Bella put her face through the window. Her eyes were as bright as stars, with a trace of coldness to them. Her thick and long eyelashes were like fans, and her skin without makeup was fair and delicate. Quincy's heart jumped when her exquisite and beautiful face was so close to his, and he pushed at her forehead with the hand with the cigarette in it. "You want to seduce me so that I can repair your car?" "Mr. Kloss, you're thinking too much." Bella looked at the driver. "I wanted to ask your driver for help. I can tell by looking at your hands that you don't know how to repair cars." Quincy pursed his lips tightly and pushed the door open. "Get out of the way." The downpour of rain had gradually become less heavy. Quincy got out of the car, took the tools, went to Bella's car, and opened the hood, bending over to repair it. Bella stood not far away, watching him. He had a good figure, broad shoulders and narrow waist, and had long arms and legs. After about 20 minutes, Quincy looked at Bella. "Start the car." She got into the car and started the engine. Wow, he had really fixed it. Quincy wiped his hands and went to Bella's car window, saying in a cold voice, "Don't provoke me in the future. Even if it was a stranger's car that had broken down, I would still help." Bella furrowed her eyebrows. Did he mean that she was just a stranger to him? I still have to thank you. Quincy put a cigarette in his mouth, his eyes dark. North Dakota is ahead. It's still dangerous there. You're risking your life going over there. I have something to do there. Bismarck is on lockdown. You won't be able to enter. When will it return to normal? I can't say. Go back. Not wanting to say anything more to her, Quincy went back to his car. Watching the two cars that were speeding away, Bella was in a daze for a while. He said that the city was in lockdown, so she had to go back. The road was difficult to navigate, and Bella was afraid that her car would break down again, so she drove to a small town near Bismarck. After leaving the car in a repair shop, Bella found a hotel. She didn't know if it was because of the weather, but she seemed to have caught a cold and had a bad headache. She slept for a while and got up in the evening and went downstairs to buy some food. When she returned to her room, she just started eating when suddenly there was a loud noise downstairs. Bella rushed to the window and saw white smoke downstairs, and there was the smell of something burning. Some people started crying in panic. Bella's heart quivered as she took her bag and luggage, opened the door, and went out. She was staying on the 6th floor, and there was no elevator. All the guests rushed downstairs, and Bella followed them. A girl of about 4 to 5 years old mingled in the crowd and seemed to have gotten lost from her family. She was knocked down by the flustered guests and was crying desperately. Bella carried the little girl and ran downstairs. At the 2nd floor, she found that the guests who were running downstairs were being held as hostages by the rioters. Bella held the little girl tightly and ran upstairs. A thief saw Bella and chased after her with a fierce face. Bella ran into one of the rooms on the 3rd floor with the little girl. She pulled over the table, put it against the door, and pushed open the window, looking outside. It was high, and Bella and the little girl could die if she jumped down. Suddenly, there was a loud bang, and the thief made a hole in the door. The little girl was terrified and started screaming. Bella grabbed the little girl and hid in the closet. She covered the child's mouth and said softly, "Don't make a sound." The thug finally kicked the door open. Bella's heart was beating wildly. The crossbow in her bag had fallen out, and she didn't have any weapons with her. She had no chance against the criminals with guns. She held the little girl tightly, and her palms and back were covered in cold sweat. Bella held her breath and concentrated. She heard the rioter come in. Footsteps slowly came towards the closet, and Bella's heart was almost in her throat. The closet door was suddenly pulled open. Bella met with the man's red eyes and quickly grabbed a cup and threw it at his face. The man raised his gun, firing into the closet. Bella grabbed the little girl and rolled on the ground several times. The two of them rolled to the side of a pair of black leather boots. Bella felt like she was doomed. Was she going to die here? There was a bang. Bella smelled smoke, and she closed her eyes in despair. At this moment, she heard a deep and cold voice. "Can you walk?" Bella raised her head and saw Quincy, who was dressed in a black uniform. She was shocked to see him, but before she could say anything, Quincy pulled her up. The rioters lured the enemy away from their base and attacked this small town at night. Now they have taken hostages and want us to release their people that we have in custody. It's very dangerous here. I'll take you away. Bella nodded. She knew that Quincy was regarding her as an ordinary citizen. It wasn't only her, he would also save those people who were taken hostage by the rioters. But regardless, she was moved by the fact that he was helping her. Quincy shot out a zip line, and he asked Bella to carry the little girl, while he carried Bella himself, taking both of them downstairs. He walked them to the rescue car, then said in a deep voice, "The driver will take you to a safe camp." With that, he turned to leave. Bella suddenly pulled his hand. He looked at her, and she stood on tiptoes and gave him a peck on the cheek. "Be careful." Quincy touched the place where she had kissed him, and it felt a little numb. His eyes turned dark as he wanted to ask her a million questions, but the situation was urgent, so he left in a hurry without asking anything.